Our top focus as of now, following the formation of a new advisory group on dangerous pathogens, the World Health Organization now says that this may be our last chance to find the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic and has once again demanded raw data from China on the earliest COVID cases, which were detected in Wuhan in late 2019.
Right now, this is our best chance, and it may be our last chance to understand the origins of this virus.
China officially declared the first cases of COVID-19 in the city of Wuhan in December 2019. However, there have been reports that the virus had spread in Wuhan much earlier. The Chinese Communist Party officials have been accused of a cover-up. China has repeatedly dismissed theories that the virus leaked from one of its laboratories. Beijing has also rejected calls for more visits to Wuhan by an international team of experts, saying no more visits were needed. A WHO-led team spent 4 weeks in and around Wuhan earlier this year with Chinese scientists. Questions have been raised on the joint WHO-China probe as the team failed to find the origins of the virus. The virus is believed to have been transmitted from bats to humans. However, it remains to be seen whether this was a natural transmission or whether a modified virus escaped from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus has said that the investigation was hampered by a dearth of raw data pertaining to the first days of the outbreak spread and has called for lab audits. The WHO has now named the 26 proposed members of its scientific advisory group on the origins of the novel pathogens. The goal is to conclusively identify the source of COVID-19.
That is a human endeavour to understand a virus that has stopped our whole world. And I would ask everyone, countries, journalists and everybody else, to create a little space for that discussion to happen.
Maria van Kerkhove, the WHO technical lead on COVID-19, voiced hope that there would be further WHO-led international missions to China, which would investigate the origins of the pandemic in cooperation with Chinese authorities.
And we very much hope that there will be further missions to China and other countries.
The WHO, in an editorial in the journal Science, said that detailed investigation of the earliest known and suspected cases in China prior to December 2019 was still needed, including the analysis of stored blood samples from 2019 in Wuhan and retrospective searches of hospital and mortality data for earlier cases. Reported Chinese testing for antibodies in Wuhan residents in 2019 will be absolutely critical to understanding the coronavirus's origins. Meanwhile, Shenzhou, China's ambassador to the UN, said that international teams had been sent to China twice already and that it is time to send teams to other places. It remains to be seen if the Chinese Communist Party will cooperate with the WHO investigation and share data with the public.
Different associated factors by pricing in as many factors as.
For a better understanding about this WHO panel, joining us now from Adelaide in Australia is Nikolai Petrovsky, Professor of Medicine at the College of Medicine and Public Health at Flinders University. Thanks so much for joining us, Professor. Now, as we know, the WHO says this new advisory group on dangerous pathogens may be our last chance to determine the origins of the pandemic. It has also asked China to provide data from early cases, but the big question is, will China allow for external observation of this data? Will the data be made public?
So I think that China has already been signalling that it's not going to cooperate, with making all data available to external committees. So, of course, we have to wait and see how well WHO can engage with China, but I believe the signals are still not good that they'll get full cooperation.
Right. That brings me to my next question, actually. We've had a previous study that has not given us a clear answer to the origins. The Chinese ambassador to the UN recently said that international teams had been sent to China twice already, and it is now time to send teams to other places. A pointed remark, certainly. So is China already trying to set the tone of the investigation?
Absolutely. I mean, they really, selected the people who were on the previous panel. That we now know that there were very heavily conflicted people like Peter Daszak who really dominated the panel and their conclusions. And I don't think, many scientists around the world now accept that that first panel was independent and certainly they don't accept their findings, which obviously tried to dismiss the possibility of a lab leak when in fact they provided absolutely no evidence that this couldn't have been a lab leak. So we're hoping that this second panel is somewhat more independent, but with, again, we need to verify that none of these current panel members have the same conflicts that we saw with the previous panel.
Absolutely. Finally, Professor, there are also several questions about the preservation of data and evidence in China. Do you believe that this investigation will give us an answer to the question, where did COVID come from?
Well, the answer is yes. If you believe that this might have been a lab leak, then there's been 18 months to do full data cleansing to remove all traces of that. If you believe that this came from an animal source, then there's been 18 months where the Chinese could have gone out, searched and found the animal source and be providing that data to us now, which they haven't done. So yes, it is very late in the game, and there is the possibility that any data that may point in the direction of a lab leak would have been removed by now.
Professor, thank you so much for all those insights, and thank you for joining us on WION World is One. WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.